Hey Jags, I'm Sawyer Jackson, and welcome back to this very special edition of the JAGcast. I'm here with a very special guest. You might, put him with weather whenever you see him, but later on, we're going to learn that weather isn't the only thing that he does.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay.
So, I'm here with Bryan Busby, head meteorologist at KMBC 9.
Uh-huh.
So, you just want to introduce yourself, I guess?
Sure. I'm Bryan Busby, as you said, chief meteorologist at KMBC. Been there since the 80s. I've been chief meteorologist since 1988. Okay. Wow. It's a long time. Still the same job. Love it. I'm originally from the Great Lakes, but I've been in Missouri since college. Went to St. Louis University for my meteorology degree and been out here. I was going to start grad school in the mid-'80s, and this job came through, and I have not looked back.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
All right. So, how did you first develop your interest in meteorology?
Screaming. It was a fear, dude. I was about 8 or 9 years old.
Okay.
And back then, and if you have younger brothers or sisters, or if you remember when you were 8 or 9, 4th of July is one of those holidays you don't like.
Oh, yeah.
Your parents take you to the fireworks displays and you cover your ears and you watch the display like this because the loud booms take you by surprise. You don't know when they're going to happen, and they're pretty loud to a little one. And so, like fireworks, I hated thunder because thunder was the same thing. It was loud, it was unexpected, didn't know when it was going to happen. And so I was very fearful of thunderstorms. So I wrote the meteorologist I grew up watching, a guy by the name of Dick Goddard, he was on that TV station from like 1959 until he retired in 2017.
Wow.
Yeah. That's the longest tenured weatherman on any station in the country, and I was lucky enough to grow up watching him. Uh-huh. So I wrote him a letter saying, what causes thunder, and he wrote me back, and he invited me down to the TV station. And so from 3rd grade through 12th grade, I would go down there once a year. He'd show me the maps. And Sawyer, the only branch of meteorology I thought there was broadcasting, because I didn't know about the military. I didn't know about FedEx, which didn't exist back then, or UPS, or airmail, which is something that was back in those days for the postal service. So I didn't understand that there were other jobs for a meteorologist to have. So I just thought, all meteorologists are on TV. So that's the branch I chose, and lucky enough, knock on wood, I'm still here.
Right. And yeah, I remember you talking about like 4th of July loud noises. Uh-huh. I know when I was younger, I had these huge noise canceling headphones that I put over every single time.
Uh-huh.
I just could not deal with the fireworks. And same thing with thunder. Like anytime I just cover my head with my pillow because I just didn't want to hear the thunder. But now I just like to embrace it because I love it.
Oh, it's kind of cool. And of course, if you saw the movie Anchorman, Brick the weatherman, loud noises. So I guess all weathermen don't like loud noises.
Right.
So there you go.
All right. So how long? Well, I guess you already said how long you've been working at KMBC 9. So what are your favorite things about working as a meteorologist?
I get bored easy. Mm-hmm. There's some jobs you sit at a cubicle, you sit at your workstation, and for 8 hours, that's all you do. I'm a people person, so I like people. But I get bored, so to be challenged. And weather is one of those things that challenges you a lot because no 2 days are exactly alike. Mm-hmm. Something similar, or maybe the same sort of setup where you're thinking it'll be rain as opposed to snow, but it won't be exactly the same. So It's up to you to go back through your brain and kind of say, okay, the last time I saw something like this is what happened. Mm-hmm. And still put some variations on it. So I think for me, the fun part is knowing that every day is going to have a different challenge.
Right.
And the people you work with are funny and hilarious. And I know it sounds corny, but it's a family.
Right.
What you see on camera is genuine. We actually do like each other and respect each other. And for me, the weather's not always front and center. In times of tornadoes, I'm front and center. 2 nights ago, with the Chiefs, Lynn Jennings, sports guy, front and center.
Right.
There wasn't much weather to talk about. Sonny, back to you, Bob. That was it. There was very little. So knowing that you are a team and knowing that you are a contributing member of that team is just something that I like because it does change from day to day or sometimes from hour to hour.
Right.
So that's kind of cool.
Makes sense. Yeah. So what are some of the most stressful things about being a meteorologist?
Like I say, managing expectations, because, and I'm sure you've heard this, I wish I could have a job where I could be wrong half the time and still keep it. I hate that. And people say it all the time. And, I like to tell people, if you think I'm going to be wrong, if I say it's going to be 90 degrees, wear your heaviest winter coat. If I say it's going to snow, wear flip-flops. And I guarantee you, as soon as you step out the door, you're going to find out we're not wrong as much as you think we are. It's a perception thing. Right. So managing expectations so that people understand what they wake up to is what you said last night. Mm-hmm. Because in this day and age, we're bombarded by so many different variations between your app and all the cable. And people get little snippets, and it's like playing the game of telephone, where you start with the message here, and then you whisper it to people. So by the time you get to that ninth person, totally different.
Yeah.
And so people will blame me for things they've heard from their friends and got bits and pieces here. But one of the good things about like my Facebook page, you can see what I said last night. So you can keep me accountable. So he really did say less than 2 inches of snow, and we did get less than 2 inches of snow. So where did I get that 8 inches of snow from?
Right.
Somewhere, just not from me. So just to manage people's expectations is probably the most difficult thing we have to do, but it's also the most challenging. And what's funny is when people come up to me and will say things like, what happened to the snow or whatever, if you can engage them and talk to them, 9 times out of 10, they will leave and say, oh, okay, I never thought of it that way. And that's one of the things I think a lot of us have lost is the art of communication.
Right.
The art of just listening. And my grandmother said it best. She said, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So you should listen twice as much as you talk. And
right.
I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And just having that dialogue is a cool thing where you can actually get something from somebody else.
Right.
And what's interesting is sometimes a viewer will give you a hint or a suggestion. And you kind of say, well, I never thought of that. And so you implement it. So don't feel like your way is the only way.
Right.
And just be flexible to at least listen. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, at least you gave it a best shot.
Right. Yeah. I've definitely heard the, telling people I want to be a meteorologist. I've definitely heard the, you're, getting paid to be wrong 50% of the time. That must be great.
Yeah.
And, I guess the more I think about it, it's more like it's so hard to predict the outcome, because it's just,
It's difficult. I mean, like if you ever watch Wheel of Fortune, if you only have 2 letters turn, your guess is going to be not that accurate. The more data you have and the closer to the event, the more likely you're going to be right.
Right.
And so that's another thing that always gets people unfortunate but true. But yeah, it's one of those things. And also I tell people, if the reason that you think you're jealous or the reason you're thinking that, we get paid for being wrong, there are guys who make a lot more money than a meteorologist called baseball players. And they get the luxury of striking out 2/3 of the time because their batting average is .333. That's considered good for their job.
Right.
So
we know you're a very successful meteorologist, but Grigsby has been telling me about some of the awards you've accumulated over the years.
Goodness.
More specifically, your Emmys. Do you want to talk at all about those, or
no?
Oh.
No, I mean, Emmys are cool, and I'm blessed to be nominated for like 16 or 17, and I've won 9. And it is nice to be recognized by your peers. Usually they're judged by different parts of the country, other people who just look at what you submit. And then, if your scores are the highest, then you get the award. To be nominated that many times is cool, to be in the top 3 or 4, because usually there are about 4 nominations in every category. And then to walk away with the statuette is cool. So yes, I've won it 9 times. And most recently it's been for team because... And I tell people this, and they think it's weird when I say this. I've got the easiest job in the world in severe weather. What I mean by that is they're more difficult jobs. When Nick is actually in Storm Tracker 9, 2 miles away from a tornado, that's probably a more difficult job. Johnny Rowland's flying next to a tornado, far enough away that he's not being pulled into it, but still has to fly that helicopter. That's kind of a dangerous, difficult job. Me talking to you one-on-one, people talking in my ear at the same time, yes. People holding up signs, telling me, who's on the phone or whatever. But I'm pretty much a traffic cop. I'm getting all this information from Johnny, from Nick, from people holding stuff up, from Pete, who's in the Weather Center a lot of times, Neville, Katie. And it's up to me to figure out what's the most important piece of the message to convey to somebody.
Okay.
But that's pretty easy just because I'm focused on the radar, just interpreting the radar and saying, okay, well, I think this is a tornado, but let's go to Johnny for confirmation.
Okay.
So in that regard, it's not as dangerous. Maybe that's maybe not easy. Maybe easy and difficult is probably not the way I should say it, but it's certainly not as dangerous as some of the guys out in the field.
Right.
But I realize there's a lot of shoulder weight to be on the team, and a lot of the Emmys, the most recent Emmys, have been more team as opposed to just me as an individual, which is kind of cool.
Okay. So
Thanks, Pete.
now I want to talk of something that maybe not as many people know about, which is your career in music.
Oh my gosh.
So,
you've done your homework. Mister.
what instruments what instruments do you like to play? What are you interested in? Like,
The first instrument Mom and Dad exposed me to was piano. Mm-hmm. And so they bought a piano, and my brother and I took piano lessons. So piano, that was it. And then when you go to elementary school band, you can't play piano because usually the music teacher plays piano to fill in all the instruments that aren't there.
Right.
So you got to play something. And so I wanted to play clarinet, but all the clarinets were taken out, so I had to go to trumpet. Mm-hmm. So I went to trumpet. Then my forward-thinking parents decided to put braces on my teeth.
Oh, no.
So it's kind of tough to play trumpet.
Yeah, I bet.
Yep, with the mouthpiece up against your lips. And so I still wanted to play in band, and I had a piano background, so I knew the keyboard. Mm-hmm. So I went to percussion because you don't use your lips.
Yeah.
And so glockenspiel, xylophone, all that stuff, and then timpani. Mm. And I went to the percussion section, and even after the braces came off, I stayed in percussion. So I'm a drummer. But Pete also told me, you're a drummer? You're a percussionist?
Yes, I am. You caught me. So I took about in elementary school. I wanted my dream was to be on the drum line for the drum line. So I took I think 4 years of piano lessons, and then I went through percussion all throughout middle school, and then I finally got on the drum line my freshman year.
Nice.
And then sophomore year things didn't work out, so I decided I still wanted to stay with percussion. Mm-hmm. So I got a drum set for Christmas. I started taking drum set lessons.
Nice.
So I still play drum set. I play drum set for my church.
Nice.
So I don't know. Percussion's always been my thing. I know going back to whenever we talked about like loud noises and stuff, it's funny how I went from hating loud noises to just like
making
loud noises. So, yeah, but
when you were on drumline, were you snared?
I was on a thing called multis. It was basically like a smaller, more muted snare with like a tom on the side. It was pretty interesting, but my sophomore year I got I tried out for drumline, and then I got out front ensemble, and I just decided it wasn't my thing. So
Gotcha.
But I guess I found this love for percussion and stuff and drums, and it's just been kind of my thing ever since. So yeah.
Notice how I took the interview and now I'm interviewing him so that
something's not right.
Okay, back to anyway. Yeah, so I still play timpani like in a couple orchestras around town, so it's fun.
So and then I've also done more research, believe it or not, that I know that you conduct too.
Wow,
right?
Yes, I have.
So what do you enjoy so much about conducting?
Power. No, music is one of those emotional things. Mm-hmm. No matter what music you listen to, but when I'm conducting an orchestra, obviously it's classical, but to bring your own interpretation, your own feelings, your own emotion to a piece, and then to try to telegraph that to the people in front of you, and then they give a little of their essence back to you, is kind of cool.
Right.
It is cool to be up there and to have your vision and have that vision made reality by 70 musicians in front of you. And then afterwards, you go, that's pretty good. Yeah. So conducting is kind of fun. And depending on the group and depending on the piece, it is so, to me, I don't say spiritual, but it is such a release. It is it just takes you to a different level.
Right.
It's I can't describe it, but it is, I enjoy doing it and I wish I could do it more.
Yeah.
This time does not allow me to do it as much as I used to.
Right. Yeah. And I actually went last night and watched our South band play as part of I don't know what you want to call it, but I watched them play, and there was this one song that was so powerful, and then the conductor was getting so into it, and it's just it's crazy to think about, it's just you let yourself go, and you know, I bet it's just an amazing feeling.
It is. And then if you do your homework on the background as to how Beethoven came up with this piece, or Samuel Barber or Copland or any of these guys, then you read what was going through their mind, and then you hear it through those 13 different notes, you know, on the chromatic scale, and how they put it together. It's kind of like, wow.
Yeah.
It just blows your mind. It's so humbling to know that somebody was so creative that they could invoke such an emotion.
Right.
And not out of just me, but out of generations before me and probably generations after me.
Right.
I mean, some of this music has lived for 300 years.
Yeah.
That's weird. You know, who knows? Is Lady Gaga going to be around for 300 years from now?
Who knows?
Who knows? But there's that possibility.
It's crazy to think about.
Exactly.
So, going back to you playing timpani, I've been told that you not only own one timpani set, but you own two. So I was wondering, why two? Why two timpani sets?
Pete.
Yeah, Pete's been giving me a lot of information.
No, it's real simple. The big set, like if you follow me on TikTok or follow me on Facebook, I will do I'll play timpani every once in a while, and every once in a while I will play the tomahawk chop.
Okay.
For a Chiefs game, and let you know what the forecast is going to be. That set is the set that I will take with me when the Civic Orchestra, the Kansas City Civic Orchestra, plays down at the Kauffman Center. It's a professional set that's usually used by professional orchestras, and so putting that in a professional hall makes perfect sense. The trouble is, each one of those timpani weigh about 200 pounds because it's all copper.
Yeah.
I mean, and just
they're huge.
Oh, they're
huge. A lot of drum.
And they're just made out of heavy material. So to move them is not easy.
Right.
So I don't like to take them out of the house often, except for special occasions. So the smaller set is made out of fiberglass. They're much lighter. You can put them in your car. You can break them down. You don't have to rent a U-Haul. And those are the ones I'll use, like if I'm speaking, or not speaking, but if I'm playing at a church or playing in a smaller ensemble. So the reason I have two is convenience.
Right.
Instead of hiring people to help me move them, I can just throw them in the back of my SUV and go.
That makes sense.
Yep.
So, you're talking about, classical music.
Sawyer. Go ahead.
So, I want to ask, what is your favorite type of music?
Wow. I think it depends on my mood.
Same here.
But certainly classical, since I've been brought up on it since I was 7 or 8, certainly it's kind of tough to divorce yourself of that now.
Right.
When I played piano, my piano teacher kind of exposed me to jazz. So I like listening to jazz. I was also brought up on Motown and classic rock. I like all music. There's only two types of music I really have a tough time embracing. That would be gangster rap.
Okay.
And the other would be just heavy metal.
Okay.
I just have a tough time getting into it, if you will.
So it's kind of the same thing with me. I love all types of music. The only thing, and I know I don't know, I might get some hate for this, but the only kind of music
get used to it. You're a meteorologist in training.
The only kind of music I don't like is country music.
Really?
I guess more modern. I can get with classic, more classic country music.
Okay.
But
Dolly Parton, Conway Twitty, you can get into those guys.
But the more modern stuff, I just can't really get with. I don't know.
Okay.
It's interesting. Do you have a favorite artist?
Wow. Well, favorite composer is Beethoven.
Okay.
Favorite artist from classic rock would be the Eagles.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. Classic from the Motown era would be the Spinners, which was a group. Man. I have to think about that. I have to get back to you, but those are the first three that jump off the page.
Yeah, I really love classic rock. It's one of my favorite genres, I guess. And right now, Grigsby's gotten me on this huge thing of listening to Def Leppard.
Of course he does. So, why does that not surprise me?
I've been listening to a lot of Def Leppard lately.
And what do you think?
I love it. I guess I originally hadn't listened to much of them. I had a couple of songs on my playlist, but it came up in class one day, and I was Grigsby was like, you got to listen to this song, and you got to listen to this song, and I just kept on listening, and now I have this whole line of like, Def Leppard songs on my classic rock playlist, and
But if you look at my playlist, it'll go from Beyonce to Jethro Tull to Bach. It's like, okay, something. But each music genre, using your word, can express a different emotion and can tap into something.
Right.
Because if you're trying to get to sleep, you probably don't want to listen to hard rock.
Right. Yeah.
But if you're trying to wind down, put on some Chopin. You know, and to get you started in the morning, you probably need something to get you to going. So each one will have its place.
Okay. And so one last thing, for those of you who don't know, Busby actually has his own segment here on Sunday afternoons called Classical Sundays, right?
Yep.
And there's even, I think, a segment on bssd.net devoted to his program. So let me ask this. So where did you get like all this music from? Because I know it's just pretty much like all classical music, right?
Yep. So all Sundays, Pete Grigsby, my buddy who works with me, gave me Sundays, and it's all classical. And you asked me where I got the music from?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a combination of records I've had. It's funny that you guys are going back to vinyl. Your generation is going back to vinyl. We decided to get rid of vinyl because of the pops and the scratches, but you guys are like, dude, that's so cool. It's like, okay, fine. But records and CDs and just going on YouTube and finding video and audio clips and saying, okay, I don't have that piece of music. And so you just collect them over the years. Because again, I've been into it since I was a little kid, so I've amassed a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have. Is there anything that you want to talk about or ask me or?
I mean, if you had your druthers and we could fast forward to, you already have your meteorology degree, where do you think you want to go? If you could pick any city.
Okay. Well, my dream currently, believe it or not, is to come back and work at KMBC 9. That is like my thing that I want to do. I don't know. It's just my hometown. All my family, like most of my family's around here, and I don't know. I mean, I think it would be the most fun for me, I guess.
Okay. And let's see, what else could I ask you? No, I think that I'm good. Okay. That was a good answer.
Cool.
Okay. This has been fun.
Oh, yeah, really fun. I mean, yeah, thank you so much for coming on and doing this.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate it. I love getting to talk to you, get to know you more. So thank you all for watching.
Oh, wait, there's one more question. Oh, there is one more question. Because people ask me, is Bryan Busby my real name? Which it is. It's not a stage name. It is actually my real name.
Okay.
Sawyer Jackson?
Yes, that's my real name.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. It's a cool broadcast name, Sawyer Jackson.
I've been told that a lot. They're
KMBC
like, that fits really well with like being on TV. Like, okay, thanks.
Did you ever ask your parents how they came up with Sawyer?
So I'm not sure if the story is true or not, but my parents said like they were trying to decide on a name, and then my sister just kept on insisting on Sawyer.
Really?
Like she just kept on. I don't know if she obviously said it like Sawyer. She was 3 years old at the time, but you know
she's too young to read Tom Sawyer.
I don't know where she got
Mark
Sawyer
Twain
from.
Sawyer. I mean, or how many Sawyers have you met?
I don't. It's
a fairly uncommon.
I want to
name.
say maybe I remember at least like 8 to 10.
Really?
So it's not. I mean, I feel like it's pretty uncommon, but I have a run in every once in a while. So you know.
Anyway, all right, I'm done with the interview.
Okay. Well, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, JAG TV News. Thank you so much again for coming on.
My pleasure.
And we will see you all next week.